If you're offering pre-orders on Shopify, one of the biggest decisions you'll need to make is how customers should pay. Should they pay the full amount when they place their order, put down a deposit and pay the rest later, or reserve the product now and pay closer to the launch? In this video, we'll break down the most common pre-order payment models, look at the pros and cons of each one, and help you figure out which option makes the most sense for your store. We'll also show you how to set up each payment type on STOQ, the most loved pre-order app on Shopify. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, there isn't a single payment model that's right for every store. The best choice usually comes down to a few key factors. The first thing to consider is the price of your product. For example, if you're selling a $20 t-shirt, most customers probably won't think twice about placing an order. But if you're selling a $500 piece of furniture or a high-end collectible, customers may take more time to consider their purchase before committing. The second factor is your timeline. Are customers waiting a couple of weeks, or are they waiting several months? The longer the wait, the more important it becomes to think about how you'll manage customer expectations and payments. Next, think about how confident you are about your launch date. If you already know when inventory will arrive, that's great. But if dates are still uncertain or you're testing demand before production, you may want a different approach. Next, think about your cash flow. Or in simple terms, when money is coming into your business. If pre-order sales are helping you pay for inventory or production before launch, that may influence which payment option will work for you. And finally, think about customer trust. The more customers trust your brand, the easier it is to ask for commitment. Keep these factors in mind as we go through the different payment options. They'll make it much easier to decide which approach fits your business best. Now let's look at the 4 most common pre-order payment models and where each one makes the most sense. Let's start with full payment. If your biggest concern is securing revenue and avoiding payment collection later, this is usually the simplest option. With full payment, customers pay the entire amount when they place their pre-order. The biggest advantage is predictability. You collect the revenue immediately. There's no need to follow up for additional payments later, and there's very little risk of failed payment collection down the road. The downside is that it requires the biggest commitment from customers. That's usually not a problem for lower-priced products or highly anticipated launches, but it can create friction if the product is expensive or the shipping date is still far away. In general, full payment works best for lower-priced products, limited releases, product drops, or brands with strong customer trust. One thing to keep in mind is compliance. If you're operating in regions like the European Union, it's worth checking your local consumer protection requirements before collecting full payment for pre-order items. That way, you can make sure your pre-order policy aligns with the regulations where you sell. Now, what if you want customer commitment without asking customers to pay the full amount right away? That's where partial payments come in. With partial payments, customers pay part of the order today and the remaining balance later. For many merchants, this creates a nice balance between conversions and a cash flow. Customers don't have to pay the full amount immediately while you still generate revenue and secure the order. The trade-off is that you'll need to collect the remaining balance later. The longer the pre-order timeline, the more important it becomes to have a plan for handling failed payments. There are generally 2 ways to collect that remaining balance. You can charge customers automatically or collect payments manually. If you're collecting payments manually, Shopify securely stores the customer's payment method through card vaulting, and STOQ makes it easy to collect the remaining balances individually or in bulk. It can also automatically notify customers if a payment attempt fails, making follow-up much easier. Partial payments are often a great fit for higher-priced products, made-to-order items, furniture, collectibles, and custom products. But what if your goal is to remove as much friction as possible? In that case, you might consider no upfront payment. With this approach, customers reserve the product today and pay later. Because customers aren't making a payment immediately, it can help increase reservations and give you a better sense of demand. The challenge is that a reservation isn't the same as a committed purchase, so you'll generally see lower commitment compared to other payment models. This option works best when launch dates are uncertain, inventory timelines are still being finalized, or you're primarily trying to measure demand. Finally, there's customer choice. Instead of offering a single payment option, you let customers choose the approach they're most comfortable with. For example, some customers may prefer paying the full amount immediately, while others may prefer paying a smaller amount now and the rest later. The biggest advantage is flexibility. You're able to serve different customer preferences without making the decision for them. Just make sure your messaging is clear so customers understand what they're paying today, what they'll pay later, and when future payments will be collected. Customer choice works particularly well for premium products, stores with different customer segments, or merchants who want to test which payment option customers prefer. As you can see, there isn't a single payment model that's right for every store. The best option depends on your products, your customers, and how your pre-order business operates. But before you decide which payment option to use, there's one important thing to check: payment compatibility. If you're planning to collect a deposit now and charge the remaining balance later, you'll need a payment gateway that supports that workflow. In most cases, that means using Shopify Payments or PayPal Express. Some local or unsupported payment gateways don't support deferred payment collection, which can cause checkout issues or prevent certain pre-order payment options from working correctly. It's also worth remembering that this isn't just a STOQ limitation, it's a Shopify purchase option requirement. So before setting up partial or pay later pre-orders, make sure your payment gateway supports the experience you want to offer. And if you're working with longer pre-order timelines, it's a good idea to have a plan for collecting those remaining payments later, since payment methods can change and collection attempts don't always succeed. Now that we've covered the different payment models and compatibility requirements, let's see how easy it is to set up each option inside STOQ. Just a quick note, I'm only focusing on the payment settings here. If you'd like a complete walkthrough on setting up pre-orders from scratch, we've linked a separate tutorial in the description. Inside STOQ, open your pre-order offer. Click Customize and head over to the Payment tab. This is where you can choose how customers pay for their pre-order. For example, if you want customers to pay the full amount up front, simply select Full Payment. If you'd rather collect part of the payment now and the rest later, you can switch to partial payment and choose either a percentage or fixed deposit amount. You can also offer a 0% upfront payment option, allowing customers to reserve the product now and pay later. And if you'd like to give customers more flexibility, you can enable full payment and partial payment and let them choose the one that they're most comfortable with. As you make these changes, STOQ automatically updates the payment widget shown on your product page, so customers can clearly see their available payment options and what each one means. Once orders start coming in, you can manage and collect remaining payments from the Reports section. This is where you can track payment status, collect outstanding balances, and monitor your pre-order orders in one place. The nice thing is that you can switch between these payment models without having to rebuild your entire pre-order setup, so that it's easy to test and find what works best for your store. At this point, you should have a good idea of which payment model might fit your store. But before you make a decision, there are a few common mistakes that you can avoid. The first is choosing a payment model that doesn't match the product. For example, allowing customers to reserve without paying anything upfront can work well for demand testing, but it may not be the best choice if you're selling expensive custom products and need strong buyer commitment. Another common mistake is not clearly explaining what customers are paying today and what they'll pay later. If customers are confused about when they'll be charged, it can lead to support tickets, abandoned checkouts, and a poor customer experience. It's also important to check payment gateway compatibility before enabling partial or pay later pre-orders. As we discussed earlier, not all payment gateways support every pre-order payment workflow. And finally, if you're collecting payments later, make sure you have a plan for it. The longer the pre-order timeline, the greater the chance of failed payment attempts or customers needing to update their payment information. In most cases, choosing the right payment model and communicating it clearly will help you avoid the majority of pre-order payment issues. As you've seen, there's no single pre-order payment model that's right for every store. The best option depends on your products, your customers, your launch timeline, and how you want to balance conversion, cash flow, and customer commitment. Once you've chosen the payment model that fits your store, STOQ makes it easy to set up inside Shopify, whether that's full payment deposits, pay later pre-orders, or multiple payment options. To help you get started, we've linked 2 resources in the description below: a dedicated tutorial on configuring payment settings in STOQ, including deposits and payment collection, and a complete step-by-step guide to setting up pre-orders from start to finish. If you're still unsure which payment model is right for your business, the STOQ support team is always happy to help. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.